Hi everyone, this is Anne-Marie PSP from Northside Gym. Today I wanted to do a mobility session with you. We're going to focus on two exercises that you're probably doing very often at the gym, which are your deep squat and your overhead movements. I mean by overhead movements, basically all your clean and jerks, your overhead squats, your shoulder press, even your triceps press. So basically anything that's above your head with the weight. The session of today will be useful for you to improve those two exercises. I wanted to do this session because I always feel that when I look at people at the gym trying to perform those exercises, there's always kind of a small lack of technique, and most of the time it's due to a lack of mobility. Either it's a hip issue, an ankle mobility issue. Very often there's thoracic spine issues that doesn't allow people to perform well on their exercise, and also can be a shoulder mobility issue. So we're going to address all of those joints today in this session. But before I start, just want to re-explain a bit what's mobility, because people tend to be confused a bit between stretching and mobility. So stretching is basically the ability of a muscle to lengthen. So it's really related only to the muscle itself, fascia around it as well. So you're going to try to basically extend the length of your muscle when you're doing a stretching. So there's different kind of stretching. I'm not going to get into that too much today, but there's like static exercise, isometric stretching, there's dynamics. So there's different way you can do stretching. But I just wanted you to understand that stretching is related more to the muscle itself. When we're speaking about mobility, we're talking about the ability of a joint to move freely and easily into a specific range of motion. So we're really addressing the joint itself here more than the muscle. Although muscle flexibility is a component of your mobility. So if you want to be mobile, you kind of need your joint to be surrounded by muscles or soft tissue with a good quality and a good flexibility as well. So you might have a session of mobility that includes stretching exercise as well. So which is going to be today's session. We're going to have different mobility combined with stretching exercise. That being said, what we're looking at when we're doing a deep squat is basically you want to be able to, just want to make sure we see me here, good. So when you're performing a deep squat, what you need to be able to do is to push your knees forward so that your knees can go actually further than your toes. Because if you cannot do that, you're actually going to be stuck here because your knees can move forward. So if you don't have that ability to move your knees forward when you're squatting, what's going to happen is that you have your weights here over on your bar. And if you cannot move your knee forward, you're going to start bending your back in order to go a bit deeper into your squat. But that's going to cause you other problems like more compression on your spine, and it's going to probably move your center of gravity away. So you're going to lose balance, that kind of thing. So that can be cause you some problems. So you need to be able to move that knee forward, which is an ankle mobility issue. After that, when you're doing a deep squat, you need to be able to drive your knees out. So what's going to allow you to drive those knees out and to keep your back straight is to be able to open up the hips here. So that's a hip mobility issue. So if you cannot, we used to tell people you need to squat parallel, but if you squat parallel, for sure you would never be able to go deep because you're going to be hitting bone to bone here. So there's no way you can go very deep in a parallel position. You need to be able to open up the hips a bit in order to go into your deep squat. If we look at the overhead movement, the first thing important you need to understand about the overhead movement is that when you lift your arm above your head, your humerus is attached to a bone, like a very flat bone called your scapula, which is basically your shoulder blade. So when you move your humerus up here, shoulder blade is going to be moving onto your thoracic, or into your thorax basically, which are your ribs. So if the position of the thorax is not optimal for that to happen, that won't happen at all. So your shoulder won't go, your arm won't go very high up. So I'm going to try to input a video here, a short video, so you can have a look at that movement while I explain it to you. The other thing is that, so in order to allow that shoulder blade to move well into your thorax, you need to have a proper thoracic position, like I said. So if you have, for example, a hunch forward position because your thoracic spine is too stiff, you will never be able to lift your arm up because it's going to be stuck here because the shoulder blade won't be able to go anywhere. So in order to do that, if people have a very stiff thoracic spine, they'll have to move from somewhere else basically to lift their arm up. So the movement will usually happen into the lumbar spine in order to finish the movement, to go in full extension. So if you see here, I'm finishing the movement, but back is arch. So that means also when I do that, then I lose that neutral spine. So I lose also my core stability, which we want to avoid when we're doing an override exercise, because you want our body to be as stable as possible in order to avoid injuries. So you really need to be able, when you're doing an overhead press, to position your thoracic spine in extension in order to lift your arm above your head without losing that core stability and neutral spine here. So that's what we're gonna address here today, your thoracic spine. And that mobility issue can also be because of your lats are too tight or your pecs are too tight. So we're gonna address those two things today too. So lats and pecs. And so we're gonna need for the mobility session a foam roller. So if you have one, take it with you. We're gonna need, if you don't, that's fine. We're gonna do something, I'm gonna give you some alternative. You're gonna need 2 tennis balls taped up together. So just tape them around and do a nice kind of peanut shape here. After that, you're gonna need a band, like a very large one. So at least at 1 inch thick, or up to 2 inch would be good to have. You're gonna need a stick, any kind of stick, a piece of wood, a broom, anything you have at home. And you're gonna also need a box, something pretty much at your mid-thigh level, and something soft because we're gonna need to put our knee on it. So gather those things. You're also gonna need a chair. So take your time, gather those things, and then we're gonna get started with the warm-up before we start this session. So for the warm-up, we're going to start with some CARs. So CAR stands for Controlled Articular Rotation. So it's some very controlled movement we do to increase our range of motion into different joints at a time. So when we do that, we just need to make sure that nothing else in the body is moving other than the joint that you want to mobilize. And also if you feel any pinch or pain sensation while you do each of those exercises, you just kind of skip that area and then you can keep going. For example, if it's a neck thing, if you feel a pinch when I'm here, I just kind of skip that extension phase and keep going into my movement. So we're going to perform 2 to 3 rotations on each direction for each of the joints. So we're going to start with the neck rotation, so you can stand up straight, arms on each side of your body. You're going to start looking on the right here without any bending, without bending your head, so you don't want any lateral flexion. You just want to make sure you have only a rotation here. And from there you're going to drop that chin down until your chin is almost touching your sternum. Then you're going to look on your other side and you're going to keep going into that rotation until you reach for an extension, and then look again on the right and finish on the center here. Once you get to the other side, you want to reverse your movement. So just switch direction, look as far as you can on the right, as far as you can up in extension, and look far on the other side. Chin down, as close as you can from the sternum, go to the other side, and change direction one more time. Down, side, up, extension, and finish into your flexion. So it's normal if you feel some cracking, but the pain sensation or the pinching sensation, you really want to avoid that. So, and make sure you got it checked by a health professional if you feel that at any time. Next would be your scapula CAR. So we're going to roll the shoulder basically. So make sure nothing else, again, move in their body. So you're going to start by just pushing the shoulder forward. Then you're going to lift the shoulder up towards your ears. After that, squeeze the shoulder blades into your back. lower those shoulders down as low as possible, and then reverse the movement. So go backwards, squeeze the shoulder blades, lift the shoulder up, shoulder forward, and finish down. Reverse again, shoulder forward, lift, lift as high as you can towards the ears, and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the shoulder blades, and finish down. One last time, backwards, up, forward, and down. Perfect. Next one would be your shoulder actually car. So make sure that you don't move your thorax when you do those. It's actually a form of compensation into the car mobilization. So you want to just make sure that nothing else than for example, your left arm is moving. So you're going to start with your thumb up. So make sure back is straight, chin is down, bend the knees, squeeze the butt, and engage your core as well. Just make sure your body is very stable. So you're going to lift the thumb up first. Once you get high up here, you're going to keep going to the back. Once you hit that maximum reach, you're going to rotate that shoulder and push your thumbs down, all the way down. And then you're going to finish when you hit your body, kind of. You're going to lift the pinky, the small pinky up first, and then reverse. So thumbs down. Go reach, reach, reach as far as you can behind when you get your maximum rotation. So thumb up, lift the arm up, and finish with the thumbs up all the way down. So make sure nothing else moves. Thumbs up, all the way up to the back, rotation, reach, reach, reach as far as you can, and finish with the pinky up, internal rotation, and reverse. One more time, backwards, lift up, rotation, up, and finish down with your thumb up. Same thing on the other arm, thumb up, exaggerate that movement, go as high as you can. Once you get to the back, rotation, thumbs down, internal rotation, and finish with the pinky up here, and then reverse. Thumb down, all the way back as high as you can before you hit that rotation part here, and then finish your rotation with your thumb up all the way down. One last time, thumb up, lift to the back, rotation, nothing else move. Don't turn your shoulders, and finish with the pinky up at the front. Nice work. Then you're gonna hit your your hip guard. If you need something to hold on, you can grab a chair or anything you have on the side. So you're gonna start by lifting the knee up here. After that, you're gonna open up. Just be careful here to not twist the hip, the whole hip. So you wanna keep your hips square forward. Then you're going to go into an internal rotation. So you're going to kick the heel up, and then you're going to push the knee back, and then you're going to come back, knees together. Be careful when you push the knee back. When you're pushing back, you want to avoid arching your back or moving your back forward. So make sure you keep that straight line here. So it won't go very far for sure, but just be careful you don't do any mistake here. After that, you're going to reverse. So bend the knee. Push the knee back, then lift the knee up on the side, heel down, and finish your circle down. So come back again, hip flexion, open up, internal rotation, heel up, push the knee back, don't bend forward, and finish knees together. One last time, heel up and knee back, then knee up on the side, and come back forward and feet down. You can switch side. Same thing, knee up, open up, internal rotation, push the knee back, and finish knees together. So push knee back, heel up, lift the knee up on the side, finish with the knee up and down. Lift the knee, open up, internal rotation, lift the heel, push the knee back, and finish knees touching. One last time, knee back, knee up, heel down, and knee forward, and finish down here. Perfect. For our last one would be ankle mobility, ankle car. So you're gonna sit down, you're gonna grab one arm underneath your knee here, the other leg can be an extension at the front. You're gonna grab with that hand that you pass underneath your forearm here, and you're going to be stabilizing your tibia with that other hand here at the front. So once you hit that, you're going to start with your ankle cars. So you're going to pull your toes towards your face. Then you're going to turn outside and outside. Then you're going to point your toes and finish an internal and flexion. You're going to reverse, internal, flexion, external rotation, and dorsiflexion. So make sure you control each of those movements. You don't want to go too fast. You want to kind of exaggerate each portion of your movements here, and you want to do 2 to 3 times on each side. Same thing with the other leg. So flex your ankle, dorsiflexion, pull the toes, external rotation, point the toes, internal rotation, and flex the toes, flex the ankle. Point, outside, flexion, change direction. Make sure you always alternate left and right and do it very controlled manner. Once you're complete that little session, this little warm-up, we're going to get started with our hip mobility and joint mobilization. Alright guys, so for the hip mobility, we're going to start with some hip 90 degree hip swings. So you're going to be sitting on the floor, and you're going to have one leg at the front and one leg on the side. So actually what you're going to need here, just going to move over so it can be more, there you go. Alright, so first leg at the front, you're going to have a knee at 90 degree here, another 90 degree in the center, and your last 90 degree would be here on your other leg. So from there, from that position, what we want to do is to turn our shoulder like in line with that side knee here. You're going to twist your arm in external rotation, so that allows your chest to stay up forward. So you're going to bend forward your back towards the knee, and then you're going to switch sides. So rotate on your heels and just change position, which is going to take you exactly pretty much to that same position. So thumbs outside, bend forward very gently. You can exhale while you bend forward. That's going to allow you to go a bit deeper into that movement. So you want to do 3 to 5 repetitions on each side here. So we're going to keep going. Switch our knees and exhale. So as you go, you want to try to progress into that movement. So you want to try to go a bit deeper every time, a bit further. And let's just do one more time on each side. And finish here. Breathe in and breathe out. Sorry, just finish on the other side so we can be equal on each of our legs. And that would be for your 90-90 hip swings. Second exercise, you're going to need your band, and you're going to need anything that's low you can attach your band to. So it can be one of the posts of your staircase tread, anything that's kind of low actually. You want to be able to squeeze your band into it. If you don't have a band, that's totally fine. I'm going to show you an alternative if you don't have that band. So you're going to be putting one leg into the band. Make sure it's pretty high onto your thigh. So you want it to be on the inside of your thigh, very high. From there, you're just going to move away from your anchor. And you're going to feel that the band is pulling your hip laterally here. So that's what we want to feel. And from there, you're just going to move a bend forward actually, and keep one hand onto that knee at the front, and very gently you're just going to move your knee from side to side. Okay, and you want to maybe insist a bit more on the internal phase of that movement. So you want to push a bit more inside than outside. So what you should feel is that your hip bone or your head of the femur wants to kind of pop out here on the side, and to open up the joint here on the laterally. What you can do too, so you can start to do some contraction and release technique. So you can push your knee outside against your hand for 5 seconds, and then move in just a bit further. Then move out and in a few times. Try again, another contraction, push the knees out, 5 seconds, and then release. So for a total approximately 20 movement in and out for each of your side. Now if you don't have the band, you would do the exact same movement, but with your hand and no band. So actually you're gonna move out and in, but you won't have that traction for sure on the side, but make sure you insist a bit more into that internal pushing phase of your knee, and then out. We're gonna focus on the external position a bit further with the next one. Alright, so make sure you do both sides, and that you want to be doing at least 20 movements on each side. If you're doing contraction, you can do 4 to 5 set of contraction and release on each side. It's always a good idea to retry your full squat, guys, after. Once you've hit that exercise, try to feel if it's a bit better, or if it feels better or not. Next one would be the pigeon stretch. I like the pigeon stretch on the box. You can do it as well on the floor, but if you have a box, it's even better. So you're gonna put your knee onto your box, and your heel is gonna be on the box. So make sure that it's in straight line. So your knee and your heel will be in a straight line. So same thing that we did before. You want to make sure that you keep your chest out while you bend forward on the pigeon stretch. And you want that back leg here to be very straight. And so you will also feel a bit of a hip flexor stretch here with the opposite leg. So you should feel the front of the opposite hip in a stretching position as well. So from there you're going to bend forward. Take 4 to 5 deep breaths. And come back up very gently. While as you exhale, you can bend forward. Stay there for a few breaths. Take your time, it can be very slow. And same thing, as soon as you keep going, you can try to progress into that stretch. So try to go a bit deeper. You can also add the contraction and release technique. So you're going to push the knee against the box. So push the knee down, 5 seconds, push, 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 push. And when you release, flexion forward, keep your back straight and chest forward. And you're going to really see a nice difference. You're going to be able to go way much deeper. So can do around 10 repetitions of flexion forward, back and in. And make sure you breathe well into each of those flexion forward. If you don't have the box, if you're more beginner level, you can also do the pigeon stretch sitting on a chair, sitting with your chest forward and bend forward position here. Alright, and come back up very gently, bend forward on the exhale and come back up. If you want to add the contraction position, you can put your hand down under your knee, push your knee against your hand, push your knee down, push, 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 and then release, bend forward. Okay, very easy to do at home. You don't need anything to do this one, and very, very useful to improve your hip mobility. So make sure you always do both sides, and for the contraction and release, you want to be doing 4 to 5 for each side, and a few, like around 10 flexion pretty much on each side as well. Last exercise, you're going to be using any kind of weights you have at home that's going to be used to offset your body weight. So it's a bit of a more advanced mobility exercise, but if you have a weight, use that. If you don't have a weight, fill up just a can of soap, an old jug of soap, and yeah, use that. So just anything that can offset your weight forward, actually, your body weight forward. So you're going to be into your squat position. You're going to have your elbows onto your knees here. So the weight is going to be in front of you, kind of offsetting your body weight. And from there, what you're going to do is pushing your knees out on each side, one at a time, very gently. Make sure you breathe, nice and deep breath, keep your back straight, chest forward, and push out for a total of approximately 20 reps. Alright, nice and deep breath. You can also push the knees a bit forward to trigger a bit more the ankle mobility as well. So push the knee forward and come back center, forward and center. Gonna really feel a nice stretch deep into your hips with this one. I really like this one. You're gonna for sure see a nice difference into your squat quality right after you do this one. So always retry your deep squat after, see if it makes a difference, see if it helps. And we're gonna keep going with some ankle mobility. Okay, so about ankle mobility, first of all, I wanted to show you how to screen that to really make sure that you're doing it because you need it. So there's a quick screening you can do to see if you need to be doing some ankle mobility stuff. So you're going to be coming very close from the wall. So your foot is going to be about 5 inches away from the wall. So it's basically your thumb and your fingers and the thumb away from the wall. So once you have that position, you're just going to try to drive your knee as far as you can towards the wall without your heel from popping off the ground. Okay, so you want to try to go as far as you can and make sure you got a straight wall, which I don't have here, but if the wall is straight, normally you should be able to touch your knee on the wall without popping your heel off the ground. If that happens, that means you need to be doing any of those quick drills I'm going to show you today for your ankle mobility. And also always try to recheck after one exercise, see if that really improves your ankle mobility by the quick screening test you can do. So first, joint mobilization for the ankle. You're going to need your band and your low anchor, just like we did previously with the hip, and something to elevate a bit your ankle. So you're going to be putting your foot into your band. Make sure you turn your anchor is in your back. So the band should be pulling posterior, pulling from the back of your foot. And for the position of the band, make sure it's not on your tibia, which is like the bone of your leg. You just want to make sure to be on the talus, which is the round bone just underneath your tibia. So it's right where the ankle kind of bend. That's really where you want to put your bend, at the crest actually, where it's folded. Your ankle is folding. So from there, you're going to be performing some flexion and back movement. So you're going to push the knee forward and come back forward. So what's going to do is that it's going to pull your talus back while you perform your dorsiflexion, which is going to kind of free up the area in front of the talus bone. So sometimes when you feel the pinching, when you're doing squat, when you try to go very deep, it's because your talus is too much anterior compared to your tibia. So if it's anterior, it can compress some nerves, or that's why you can probably feel a pinch when you do your dorsiflexion. So make sure that you pull your talus back, and that should help to release the pinch sensation and to improve your ankle flexion, ankle mobility. So do 20 reps of those on each side, and then make sure you always recheck right after, screening 5 inches away, and then retry to see if you feel any improvements on that ankle mobility. Second stretch is your soleus stretch. So basically the soleus is the muscle right underneath your calves. So your calves are bi-articular muscles, so they attach to the back of the femur and to your heel down here. So they cross two joints. So when your knee is bent, they're not really put into tension. So you want to make sure that we stretch the muscle that is just underneath the calves, which is the soleus. So that soleus attached to your heel underneath here and stop right behind the knee. So it's really limiting the flexion of your ankle. So if you stretch it, you might get a few more degrees into your dorsiflexion movement. So how to stretch it? You just grab a bench, you put your foot onto that bench, and from there, you're just going to drive your knee forward until you feel that tension right here behind your Achilles tendon. And then from there, you can just stay there And you can also use your chest to kind of push your knee forward here. So you can use both, either, or it can be also a weight you can put on your knee and then push forward. So it's a static stretch, so you want to stay there for around 30 to 60 seconds. Nice and deep breaths. And then very gently, you want to come back and switch leg. Alright? So for the purpose of this, I'm not going to do two sides, but make sure you always do the two sides. Last one will be your goblet squat ankle stretch, which really is really similar with the one we just did with the hips. We kind of did it actually also at the very end of the goblet squat hip stretch. So for the goblet squat ankle stretch, you're going to be having your knees onto your knees. And this time, instead of pushing your knees out, you're going to push your knees forward, alternating left and right. So push the knee forward and then come back center. Push the knee forward, knee center. So you want to alternate left and right by always pushing the knee forward, and the weight in front of you is always kind of offset your body a bit, your body weight. So it's going to help you to keep your balance. Sorry. Alright, so 20 reps like that total, 10 on each side. Nice and deep breaths, keep your back straight, and you're all set for your ankle mobility. Guys, so for the thoracic mobility, we're going to be using the foam roller, the peanut, and also our stick and our box. First example of exercise, you don't need anything for this one, so if you don't have the foam roller or the peanut at home, that's a very good option you can do to start your thoracic mobilization. So we're going to start kind of kneeling into a position similar to the child pose in yoga. So you want to make sure that your knees are kind of in a V position, a bit wider than your hips. And from there, you're going to move your hand forward, but instead of having your hands shoulder width apart, you're going to put them one over another. And then you're going to try to aim to bring your head down towards the floor without arching your back at all. So make sure that you're not doing this, you're not arching your back down. So you want to have your hips as low as possible. And you want to have either your back straight or a bit in flexion, because here the goal is to work onto the thoracic spine only, so we don't want to move the lumbar spine. So try to bring the knees down, the forehead down, and stay there for 5 deep breaths. Try to push your chest down, but don't arch your back like this. So make sure you keep your core a bit engaged at the front and bring your forehead down. So that would feel your extension in your thoracic spine. And very slowly, gently come back. So you can always tuck the toes in, which I forgot to tell at the beginning, I'm sorry. But always tuck the toes in and then move forward. But be careful to not arch the back when you're going forward. If you do have the foam roller, it's actually, I feel, one of the best way to do it. Actually, I'm going to start with the peanut. Sorry, I'm going to start with the peanut because it's more easy at the beginning to start the peanut. It's a bit less, you can go a bit less deeper into the extension with the peanut. So when you're doing a joint mobilization on the spine, you want to make sure that you put your spine pretty much in the center between the two tennis balls. You don't want it to be on the balls, so in the center. And the thoracic spine actually starts pretty much in the center of your back up to the base of your neck. So don't put the ball too low, make sure it's thoracic. So it's in the center or a bit lower. So you're going to lie down onto your ball, and from there, you're going to very gently cross your arms here. Make sure you engage your core. So you want to avoid arching your back when you go into an extension. So you want to make sure that the core is engaged here. And you can tuck the chin in as well. And when you're ready, very gently, you're just going to drive the elbows up while you keep the core engaged. And then come back very gently here. You can just roll down very gently and go into your extension. But make sure you avoid doing this. So you don't want to arch the whole spine, and you want to try to be working or doing some extension movements only on your thoracic spine. Okay, so core engage, extension, and very gently come back in the flexion. Okay, so you can do a few deep breaths on each of your vertebra into your lower back. If you feel any pain sensation at any time, just skip that vertebra, make sure it's checked by your health professional. But yeah, you should not feel any pain while you do this. It's normal if you hear some cracking or some things that are moving, which is normal, which is what we want actually when we're doing mobility. We want our joints to be moving. So cracking is normal, but pain is not. So just be careful. So if you're doing it with the foam roller, same idea. Get the foam roller pretty much in the center of your back. I like the idea of crossing the arms or supporting the neck, because if you have your hands here in your back of your head, that will avoid your head from going up into an extension. So you want to avoid that. So keep your head there, core nice and tight, and very gently extension down and come back. So you can go with the deep breaths in and deep breath out as you exhale, go down. Okay, and can roll a bit higher. Same thing here. Breathe in and breathe out in extension. Can also stay there for a few breathing. You always have many options here, so it's not black or white. So you can roll as well, but make sure that when you roll that you never arch your lower back. So that's what we want to avoid when we're doing thoracic mobilization. No movement of the lumbar spine, only thoracic spine. So keep the core nice and tight while you do it. Another exercise you can do is the lat stretch using your stick. And for this one, you're going to have to put your palm facing forward and your thumbs out. So your arms are actually going to be in external rotation. From there, you're going to put your two elbows up on your bucks. And you're going to try to do the same thing, move the knees back. And then squeeze your core. Try to not arch your lower back while you do it. Keep the core nice and tight. And then very gently, you're going to drop the head down as low as you can. Alright, and you're going to stay there for 5 deep breaths. So as you do it, make sure you're a bit wider too. You can be just a bit wider than your elbows with your hand positioning. So what the difference it will make compared to the child pose on the front is that your hands are actually going to be in external position, which is going to stretch a bit even more your lats muscles. So very good option to do here as well. So once you're done with this one, next one would be your deep squat rotation, which is a bit more advanced level. So if you have struggled already with the deep squat position, I can show you different an alternative for this one. So you're gonna have your hand on your opposite feet up here, and from there what you're gonna do is that you're gonna lift one hand up and come back very gently and switch sides. So hand on the opposite foot, twist your shoulder, look up, and then switch side. So you want to alternate here for some thoracic mobility. So don't go too far, don't try to go too far. You can turn your head as well as you rotate. So the head will turn as well. And then you can do 3 to 5 times on each side will be pretty fine. If you don't have enough mobility to be doing it into your squat position, you can also do it on a kneeling position with your hand behind your neck here and perform your thoracic rotation here. Try to make sure you don't go too far. So it's a very small movement, the thoracic rotation. So if you go here, that's going to turn into your lumbar spine. So make sure you avoid going too far. So it's a small movement, elbow down, and finish up here, not further than that, and do that 5 times on each side. All right, so that's your thoracic mobility exercise, guys. Alright guys, so for the last portion of the mobility session, we're going to be stretching our lats and also our pec. Those will be two static stretching, so you won't be moving, so you just keep the position for 30 to 60 seconds. So for the lat stretch, you're going to need your band and a high anchor onto your wall. So for me, my band is here and my anchor is pretty high up here on the side. So what you're going to do is that you're going to put your wrist inside your band and you're going to grab it with your hand afterwards. So you're going to have a nice solid hand on your band to be able to get some tension into it. So from there, you're just going to move your hips back until you feel enough tension into your lat. Make sure your feet are parallel, so hips width apart. From there, you're going to externally rotate your shoulders, so thumb up, so thumbs up in external rotation. And from there, make sure also that you keep your core engaged, so core nice and tight. You want to avoid arching your back here and extension, have an extension in your lumbar spine. So keep the core engaged here, and from there, you're just going to drop your head down until you feel a nice stretch underneath here, your shoulder and your lats. So you stay there, you can take nice deep breaths, because the breathing will really help you in your stretching to calm the nervous system and allows your muscles to relax a bit more. So if you're stiff, if your body stays stiff when you're stretching, you will never get any benefit from your stretching, from your static stretch. So make sure that you're able to breathe and that you are kind of pretty relaxed when you're stretching here. So take your time. One more nice and deep breath. And very slowly you can come back and switch side. So put your other hands around. Grab your hands onto both part of your band. And then same thing, flat, nice flat back. Bend the knee, push your hips back, and bring your head down towards the floor. You should feel the stretch underneath the shoulder here. Make sure you don't arch your back. Be careful. So make sure you don't forget the external rotation. So the arm should be twisting up. So the thumb is up, facing towards the ceiling. Nice and deep breaths here. One more time. Nice deep breath. And come back. So you can always have a timer on the floor when you're stretching if you don't want to have to count your seconds into your head. So it's always a good thing to have, to make sure you do 1 minute or 45 seconds per side. You can do 2 to 3 sets, 2 on each side. So that'll give you a bit more flexibility into your lats muscle to allow your movement to be a bit more to improve your range of motion into your overhead movement. That will also help you into your front squat movement. So those who are practicing front squat, if that you struggle lifting your elbows up when you're doing your front squat, that might be a lack of flexibility or mobility into your lats. Last one is your pec stretch. So the stretch we're going to do is a myofascial stretch. So we're going to use tension into our fascia all the way up to the top of the fingers. So it's a very technical stretch, but I'm going to take my time to explain it well to you today. So you're going to be facing, lying down into a prone position, and you're going to have your head down. So tuck the chin down in here, and with your arm, you're going to reach at approximately 45 degrees here on the side, and from there, you're going to, with the opposite hand, you're going to place that hand flat on the floor just next to your other shoulder. And make sure that that your hand and your wrist are an extension here. So you want to lift the fingers up and the hand as well. So fingers and hands are up. And from there, what you're going to try to do is to push that shoulder down towards the floor while you keep your head down. All right, so I'm pushing my shoulders down while I lift my fingers up. My arm is kind of pulling to outside, so I want to kind of push. It's kind of like if I'm pushing my hand in direction away more tension. So you're just gonna push with that hand that is on the floor to kind of turn your body just a bit more, but make sure you keep the fingers up here. Nice and deep breaths, and you stay there for around 1 minute. Once you're down, very gently release the fingers and then switch sides. So hand on the side of your shoulder, arm at 45-degree angle, lift the fingers up. You can start with the head down only. Push the shoulder down towards the floor. Make sure your arm is in full extension here. And you want to kind of push, make sure that your shoulder is always pushing down towards the floor here. So that will be your myofascial stretch for your pec. It will give some flexibility to your whole chain of fascia all the way down to your pec. So that being done, thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoy, and I hope that will help your deep squat movement and your overhead movements. Thank you.